Yes, sister.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just find my code ready. Okay, so I'm talking about JavaScript events. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about, correct? Yes, JavaScript events. Okay, so JavaScript events are things that happen on a web page. For instance, when the web page loads, then you would have an onload event. When you click on something, it would be a click event. And you can set up event listeners that will listen for those events, and when they happen, then it will call a function that will cause something to happen on the web page. So I'm just going to go through and show you several different kinds of events and some examples of how I've used them. So the first event is, well, first of all, let's talk about how you put events on. So there's 3 different ways that you can do it. You can do it, can you guys see this? Is that big enough, or should I make it bigger?
Maybe a little bigger.
Okay.
Better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes, better.
Okay. So here I have an inline, I've used onClick as an attribute of my div. So you use onClick and then equals, and then the name of the function that you're going to call. And that adds an event listener. The downside of doing it that way is you can only add one event to each div or to each element. And so if you want to add more than one element, you would need to do it this other way. Right here, let's see. So first of all, you would grab the element by doing a get element by ID and save it to a variable. But so you do the element name dot add event listener, and then in parentheses you have 2 things. You have the name of the event, and then you have the name of the function that you want to call. The name of the event goes in single quotes, and the function name, you don't put the parentheses at the end of the function name, because if you put that, then when the code reached that point, it would run the function before the event listener happened. So you leave those off. And then there's one other way to do it, which is again using add event listener, but instead of putting the function name, you can do an anonymous function by just putting function and then the parentheses and then the code that you want to have happen right there inside the parentheses, so that when that event happened, then it would call that anonymous function. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Nope. No.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some different kinds of events that we can do. The click event is what everybody is really familiar with. When something is clicked, then it calls a function. Oh, the other thing is that when you do it as an attribute, you would put on in front of it, but when you do it, when you're adding an event listener in the JavaScript, you don't add the on. So just something that I learned. So the thing about a click is it will work with your mouse, it will work with the enter key, and it will also work with a touch on a touchpad. Another one that you can use is a double click, and it works similar, except for you do a double click, obviously, and that will call an event. Oh, there's my rainbow. Mouse events, there's mouse up, mouse down, and that happens when you hold down on the mouse. if you click it, see how it happens really quick, but if you hold down on the mouse, it will stay firing until you let go of the mouse. So that's the mouse up and mouse down. Mouse over is just passing your mouse over the element, and mouse out is when you remove your mouse from the element. And then, as I said, click works not only with the mouse, but works with the keyboard, but it only works with the enter key, and it only works on things like tabs or buttons. And so if you get the focus on the event or on the element that has the event listener on it, then you can hit the return key and it will work with the click. You can use event listeners with the keyboard. There's the key down, key press, and key up. So key down, key press, and key up work when you push a key down, the key down happens, and then you let go and the key up happens, and then after that the key press happens. So I'm going to hit a key, and you can see down here it shows the key that I pressed, but then also notice that the color changes here and the color changes in the background. So you can see it better. So if I hold down on the key, notice two of the things are happening. The background is changing and it's capturing what letter I'm hitting, but this part doesn't change until I actually let go of the key. So the key up doesn't happen until, okay, so I told you backwards, I apologize. The key up happens last, and it doesn't happen until you actually let the key up. The key press continues to fire as long as you're holding down on the key, and the key down only happens once. No, sorry, it keeps happening as well. Sorry. Does that make sense? I know I didn't explain that very well.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay. All right, and then touch events. Touch events are really good for mobile phones, obviously, tablets. Touch events are becoming much more important. I struggled a little bit getting my touch events to work, but it's also a good idea to have mouse events on the same elements. So here I have the mouse element as well as the touch event. But to show you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will show you on my phone so that you can see that the touch events actually work. Let me end my screen sharing. How do I end my screen sharing? Oh, did I end? Oh, yay. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll see if this works. Okay, can you see? Not very well. There we go. So here I have my touch element, and if I click on it, it appears. And that is the touch start and the touch. Let's see. I can't remember which one I did the best. Hold on, let me just look really quick. Oh, this one is just the click, just the same as before. The click works when you have it with or without. The click works when you are using touch events too. But then if you want to do an actual touch event, there's the touch start, the touch move, and the touch end. And let me just show you here. So I have my little kitty again, and when I touch it, the touch start turns it into a lion. And then if I use touch move, it changes to the sitting down kitty. And when I go touch end, it turns back into the original kitty. So there's those touch events. There's also there's touch. There's three more. There's touch enter and touch leave. And I didn't actually get those to work because I was struggling to get the mouse, or to get it not to scroll when I was trying to do that. But one thing that you need to do is when you are adding, let me show you over here. I apologize. I really struggled with the touch events, so I don't understand them really well yet. But one thing it's important to do is add the prevent default. So what you do is you put in your function, in your event listener, you put function and then E, which is the event inside. And the event is the touch event and it's delivered to the function. And then if you do E.prevent default, it will stop it from doing the default touches. So for instance, scrolling, because if you don't prevent the defaults, then it gets confused as to what to do. And so I was struggling to get the touch enter and touch leave to work. Touch enter, it means you're outside of an element that has a touch enter listener on it, and then you move over it, and then that fires the touch enter, and when you move away from it, that fires the touch leave. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to work because it kept scrolling. So if any of you have been able to get that to work, I would love to see your code and see how you did it. But so those are the touch events. A couple more events I need to show you about, and that's the animation and the transition events. The animation events are animation start, animation iteration, animation end. So when the animation starts, then that fires the animation start. When you have it iterate 2 or 3 or 4 times, the animation iteration fires each time it starts again. So it won't fire the first time, but it will fire the second, third, fourth, and on and on. And then animation end happens when all of the iterations have completed and the animation is done. So here I have I have an animation start, animation end, and animation iteration. So let me just do it. So each time it iterates through, it adds a cloud, and then at the end, it removes everything. So animation start, it adds a cloud, and then each iteration, it adds another cloud, and then at animation end, it removes all of them. And then transition end, I didn't actually use that one, but that's the same as animation end, only you would use it on a transition instead of on an animation. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I
Yes.
have one question. I didn't know yet the difference between untouched event and, because if I use my web page and a smartphone, my animation will not run if I don't use untouched event. Or
Okay, so if you have, for the touch, if you have a click event, then it will run. But if you have like a mouse down event, it won't run on a touch screen because you don't have a mouse. But so you have to add the touch events for instead of the click. So for instance, here, I don't have any mouse events, and so it won't work with my mouse. I would have to use touch. It's the same thing with touch events. If you only have mouse events and no touch events, then when you try and do it on the mobile phone, it won't work. Except for the click. Click does work on a touch screen. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay. All right. Have any of you done this section yet?
Um,
I'm not.
I'm not.
No.
Okay, so when you get to that point and you have figured out the touch, if you can help me understand it better, I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so Darren, do you want to do yours?
Yeah. All right. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
All right. I kind of took some stuff out to kind of cut it down because he said we were going to have only 15 to 20 minutes. So I guess Hiram's not going to be here. So it's kind of short. I kind of cut it down a bit. So mine is on HTML tags, the audio, canvas, and video. First of all, the video tag, as it states here, is the element used to embed audio or sound into an HTML document without requiring any plugins such as Flash. Now, before HTML5, Flash was needed in order to play files in the browser. Compatibility, the number underneath, Chrome, Internet Explorer, the 4.0, 9.0, that's just the version where the upgrade version where it was made available. So anything above 4.0 or 9.0 for Chrome and Internet Explorer, it should work just using the tags. For that, the Flash. So goes in Firefox, Safari, and Opera. Then those are the main browsers that are used today. And then just an example of the syntax used to embed audio files into HTML. Of course, you use the brackets, open with audio, and you get the forward slash with an audio closing the tag there. And then just an example down below playing an audio. Pretty much you just include the source where it's located at. And there, I forgot to add in, looks like the type of media files that are played, but you can play the OGG files, MP3, and WAV. So those are the three that can be played in HTML. Linking. You can link them through internet or through your own files on your computer. And this is just an example. Use the Anchor href in order to link the audio tags to your page. And again, it just specifies a specific location to link to. Other options that you can use with audio tags, you can use controls. And then, of course, controls actually give it the sounds. You can change sounds and play, pause, volume, and all of that. That's what the controls does. And then just an example of adding multiple controls with the second example there. There's, again, just the source, location, the type of file it is. And that's how you get your audio tags played. I got an example of one here. Right there. Just the simple code here. And when you run it, press play. And whatever file you have in there should run. Any questions as audio tags?
No?
I want to add. So, in example you showed just recently. So, as I read, we need to use both MP3 and OGG in order to use audio on each browser. So we need.
Yeah, it's
not.
There's three
That's
of
what I
them. It
read.
says that are.
Say again.
There's 3 that are compatible right now. The media
Yeah,
tags.
yeah, but I heard if you can if you can show example you run just recently.
Oh,
Can you show example?
yeah.
So right here they use Horse OGG and Horse MP3. So
Yeah.
I heard that we need always to use both of them that they run on each browser. So
Uh,
I
so we
think
need to
it's
embed both of them each time we use any
yeah
type of audio files. Oh,
yeah.
I have no idea on that. I haven't.
No, I read that we need to do it. If you find other information, you can share. But
Okay.
I read that it's better to use both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I had a question on the anchor tags. Is that how you stream audio?
Streaming.
Yes. So you
Uh,
said you could use the anchor tag to link to another source, like on the internet. Is that how you do streaming for the audio?
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever you basically just put in the address in there under the anchor tag, and it should get you to where the file is located.
But it won't take you to that file, right? It will just play that file
It'll
within
just play
your
from there.
webpage. Okay.
Yeah. The anchor tag href just specifies the location to link to.
Okay.
So, all right. Any other questions?
So would you put that inside the source tag, or you would just put that like after the source tags or instead of the source tag? The anchor tag.
The anchor tags go outside the source.
Okay.
So you can add as many anchor tags in there as you want, but as long as there's a source inside of it. And then source, of course, is you can add as many of those again as you need as well. But the anchor tags go first. So audio, you got your audio tag and then your anchor tag.
Okay.
And then source and,
So if you have multiple anchor tags, will it take you just to the first one, or will it take you to the first one and then the second one and then the third one?
That I don't know. I can't remember.
That's fine.
Anybody know? Anybody have an answer for that?
If I find out, I'll let you know. But
Okay.
I know with the sources, it will only play the first one, but I didn't know if the anchor was the same.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know that.
That's okay.
All right. Good questions. Any other questions on audio tags? All right. We'll move on to Canvas now. Now the Canvas tag, again, it's an element that defines a region in the document, which can be used to draw graphics on the fly via scripting, usually through JavaScript. Canvas tag element is not supported in some old browsers. And then the default size of the canvas is 300 pixels by 150. That's the width and height. And then those, of course, can be changed in HTML using the height and width properties. JavaScript is used to draw the graphics. And then here's just the syntax for it. Again, canvas and then / canvas closed. And then just some example code for that. There's many things that you can do. You can draw circles, you can draw lines, do boxes. A bunch of things can be done with the audio tag or the canvas tag as well, such as boxes there. You can change them all up. It's not working. Like this, you can change the colors on it. gradients, change the sizes, locations within the box there. So one other thing, I'm sorry. And then just a box. If you want a box drawn, you can, of course, change the width and height, as I was saying. You have any size box that you need. Any questions on the canvas tags?
My only question is, like, what is a practical application for using a canvas tag?
Just probably, here, let me. Just drawing graphics on a web page, changing the colors and all that. Rectangles, gradient rectangles, multicolored rectangles, just something that you need in there that you can draw on your own.
Okay.
It's a container for graphics. Basically, whatever is in that box or the size that you have it goes in there. If you look at any websites, something like the banner up here,
Mm-hmm.
that can be used. It's part of the.
Okay.
You can, pretty much banners is what you can use them for.
Okay.
And ads that pop up that you see.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll go on to video now. The video tags is the standard way to embed files into an HTML document as well. Again, this is just like the audio tags, where before HTML5, you needed a Flash plugin in order to play video files. But since HTML5, all you need is just the tags for it. Compatibility again, these are the versions. So anything above 4.0 Chrome, you can use the video tags. Anything before that is Flash, and then again, those are the versions of the other browsers that are needed in order to just use the tags. Syntax again is just video to open, to close, / video. And then there's just an example of the code used to play the video. And again, it's show you one more example of it. So here's all the code. And then you got the anchor reference in there to the website. Once you run it and you play it, and that's pretty much it for tags. And then the media types for videos, again, are MP4, WebM, and OGG as well. And maybe this is the same too, as well as Vlad was saying. Have you heard anything about video files where MP4 and OGG need to be together again?
No, but my guess it's the same.
The same, yeah.
Probably, yeah. You need to put a couple of formats, different formats.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll probably have to look into that and find out, do more research on it and find out. But references, and that's it. Any other questions?
No, that was a great presentation. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Darren.
Am I off now?
No.
Am I not sharing anymore?
Yes, you're not sharing.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so since Hiram's not here, I guess that's it, unless anybody has anything they'd like to talk about or ask about.
I'm good.
What is your understanding of the project or the app that we're going to do later? Is that going to be a group project or is that going to be individual? Do you know?
I think it's a group project, but it will, if it's group project, it will be more difficult.
Yes,
Of course.
always. I was just looking at the grades and we have individual app, a grade for that. So I wasn't sure if it was a group project or individual project, but you know, if it's a group project, that means we can tackle more. So maybe it would be better. I just didn't know, I hadn't heard, so. Does anybody
Yeah.
understand what we're supposed to do for the last three, the thought libraries?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
I sent an email asking the teacher and I have not heard back yet, so hopefully I will hear and I'll let you know what I find out.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Thanks, group. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.
Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Bye.